Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. This is the first of 2 training tapes dealing with illegal blocks in the back. Today we're looking at kick plays and we're going to look at some plays to see how it happens, and we're going to talk about when is it enough, when is it too much, and how are we going to cover these situations. But before we get to the game film, let's have a look at what the rulebook and the MOFO have to say on this topic.
In the rulebook, we go to Rule 234, block in the back. And Article 4A says, a block in the back is contact against an opponent occurring when the force of the initial contact is from behind and above the waist. When in question, the contact is at or below the waist. B. The position of the blocker's head or feet does not necessarily indicate the point of initial contact. In Rule 936, also dealing with block in the back, it says, a block in the back other than against the ball carrier is illegal. And then there are a couple of, there's an exception. 1. Offensive players who are on the line of scrimmage at the snap within the free blocking zone may legally block in the back in the free blocking zone, subject to the following restrictions. And then there are 2 restrictions to the exception. A. A player on the line of scrimmage within the free blocking zone may not leave the zone, return, and block in the back. And B. The free blocking zone disintegrates when the ball leaves the zone. Additional exceptions. 2. When the player turns his back to a potential blocker who has committed himself in intent and direction of movement. 3. When a player attempts to reach a ball carrier or simulated ball carrier, or legally attempts to recover or catch a fumble, a backward pass, a kick, or a touched forward pass, he may push an opponent in the back above the waist. 4. When the opponent turns his back to the blocker under Rule 933A1B. 5. When an eligible player behind the neutral zone pushes an opponent in the back above the waist to get to a forward pass. In the MOFO, we go to Section 3.3, contact fouls. Number 5 deals with illegal block in the back. A. Before calling this, apply the same conditions as you would apply for holding, but also apply the conditions for calling clipping, particularly the need to see the entire act. B. If one hand is on the number and the other hand is on the side and the initial force is on the number, it is a block in the back. C. A block that starts in the side and ends up in the back is not a foul as long as there is continuous contact. D. Touching an opponent in the back is not a foul unless it results in him being knocked down or pushed off balance sufficiently so that he stumbles or missteps and misses making a tackle or block. Remember, the foul is for illegal block in the back, not an illegal touch in the back. E. Charging into a player's back away from the play may be called as unnecessary roughness. This may be called regardless of the timing of the block relative to the end of the play. And finally, F. Be particularly alert when you see an offensive player chasing a defensive player and vice versa when the defensive player is not attempting to reach the ball. This is sometimes referred to as the Oreo cookie. And that was the theory. Now let's have a look at some game film. In this first clip, we're looking at number 1 from the kicking team. So blue, gray, number 1 on the left side of the field. So right there at the point of attack, he's going to get pushed, and you know, it would be hard pressed to say that this is from the side. So this is in the back, and he also falls on his face, even though he turns after he lands. This contact is from the back. Now, you know, with the invention of the blindside block, or the the new rule that makes blindside blocks illegal, we have to take a hard look at all blocks in the back, because by definition, most blocks in the back will be from the blind side. So the question is this forcible enough for a blindside block instead? And I don't think it is. I think the force of the contact is with his arms and hands. We don't see him getting blown up the way we would want for a blindside. So this is certainly a block in the back, but not enough for a blindside block. And who needs to see this? Well, the deep wing on the left side from this angle would have the primary coverage of this. I would also expect at this point, since the return has started, that the back judge starts looking at blocks instead of only looking at the punt returner. So we have at least a couple of officials who should and could see this. On this play, we're looking at the receiver or the headhunter far from the camera. You see the classical, the typical Oreo cookie there, where the red guy is beat, so he's coming in from behind, and what's he going to do? He's going to block in the back. So, and you can see how the white jersey, his momentum is moving forward because the push happened from the back, and we can see that just as well from the end zone camera. From this angle, we're looking at the right side of the screen. He's going to come in right there, and you can tell that the push is certainly more from the back than from the side, and the ball is just arriving now. So this certainly is point of attack and something that we need to call. On this play, we're looking at the left side of the screen, and what we'll see is white number 17 coming in there. And this is a pretty good example also of a block in the back and the Oreo cookie, where we have these three players in the middle. The player in the middle has a different color than the others. It's an easily recognizable image, and very typical situation where we get a block in the back. And here I think it would be tough to argue that the brunt of the contact was from the side, and it certainly impedes white number 17's ability to make this tackle. So good call for a block in the back. On this play, the action is going to happen on the left side of the field, and the return is going to go there, and right there is the potential. So we've got the Oreo, where we've got three players and the middle guy has a different color. That a lot of times that's easier to recognize than who needs to block who and who needs to tackle who. Once you see those three players with the middle guy in a different colored jersey, that's when we need to look out. And here we've got the outside guy blocking that might be number 51. And you can say that he's got one hand on the shoulder and one hand on the back. But if you look at the green player, the way he's being pushed, that after the push he's moving forward, and that to me indicates that the brunt of the force, or the forcible contact, not that this is enough for a blindside block, but the force of the block is with the right hand in the back, not with the left hand on the side. So this is an illegal block that should be called. And who can see this? Well, the referee might be able to see this, the wing official on that side, maybe even the deep wing on this side of the field could have a good look at this, because this is something that should be called. So typically we want blocks in the back to have an effect on the play, but only to a certain extent. I mean, there comes a time where the block just is too big for us to ignore, and I think this one is one of those situations. Everybody is looking, and this is really solid contact, and even though it doesn't have an effect on the play, I think we need to call something like this just to keep control of the game. If we let this go, then the teams, we run the risk of the teams losing faith in our ability to control the game. So we do want, as a general rule, we do want blocks in the back to have an effect on the play, unless they become so big that we need to call this. And again, is this a blindside block? I don't think it is, because I think most of the contact is with the hands and the arms. But this is a block in the back that we need to call and compare this one to the next play. So in this example, we're looking at white 23, so the fourth player in from the bottom. And we're looking at a block in the back that may not have an effect on the play, but it's simply too big. It's simply too much in the point of attack, and when it happens right there, the runner is 10 yards away from him, or maybe even more, but it's right there where the runner is going to go, and everybody is looking here, and we've got serious good contact in the back. The guy goes down, and he certainly would have had a chance to get in there and make a tackle. So whether you rule that this has an effect on the play or not, this is simply too big, just like the previous one, where we can leave it alone. So this one should have been called for a block in the back. And who can see this? Most likely the depending on the size of the crew, if this is a crew of 8, the back judge who's coming in from this sideline, that would be in his area of responsibility. Possibly the umpire would also be looking there, but those are the ones that we would be asking to cover this up. So we're talking about the block that we want it to have an effect on the play. Here we're obviously looking at the players at the bottom. Again, we have the Oreo cookie. It's easily recognizable here, and we're going to have a block in the back, and then the guy makes the tackle. So we can ask the question, do we really need to call this? And it was called here, and it's tough to say that this is an incorrect call. However, if we were to wait half a second, so we see this block, but if we were to wait half a second and see, well, he made the tackle, so the red jersey really won. Well, then maybe this is one of those that we can let go because it didn't have an effect on the play. And it's something that you can probably explain to a coach and say, well, I saw the block, but I also saw him make the tackle, so that's why we didn't call it. And I would be fine with that also. In this last example, we're looking at the receiving team number 77, so red 77, and he's right there, and he's going to do a little push there, but this really illustrates very well how we want it to have an effect on the play, because this is clearly in the back, but at the time when it happens, the runner has already passed. So it never had an effect on the play. It never affected black number 8's ability or chance to make a play on the runner. So this is what we mean when we say that it has to have an effect on the play. And if you just see those two players isolated, and you see that push, that is certainly in the back, and that might prompt a flag to be thrown. So what we're asking is to put it into context of the rest of the play, and realize that in this situation it has no bearing on the play, so we can leave it alone or just do a talk to. And that was the training tape. I hope you found something that you can use on the field.